What's the bravest thing you've ever said?
Help. Asking for help isn't giving up. It's refusing to give up.
To learn is to ask for help. But I know for a fact I don't want to tell somebody else that I'm scared. I don't want to tell somebody else that I'm afraid. I don't want to tell somebody else that I think I'm going to mess up, or because if I do that, then I'm weak.
What did he say about suicide? You can always do it tomorrow. Yeah, well, you know, that's pretty good. It's pretty good. That's a pretty good piece of advice. It's like, you know, you don't get to do it twice if you're successful. So is it not possible just to wait? You know, can you just wait? And that's pretty generic advice, but it's definitely worth thinking about, you know, because it's final act. And I would say too, let people around you know. You don't want to keep that a secret. And if you don't have anyone to tell, really it's time to go to the hospital and tell someone, you know, tell someone, or more than one person. Tell the closest person you have to someone who cares, you know. And if you don't have anybody to tell, then go to the hospital and tell them, because the probability is pretty high if you're suicidal that there's actually something wrong with you, that you're ill in some manner. If there are people around you that love you, it's pretty likely that they'll never really recover. And so, you know, you might be thinking that if you took yourself out, you'd be doing the people around you a favor, and often people who are depressed, they really believe that. But, you know, I've had lots of clients who were pretty damn traumatized by a familial suicide, and they just torture themselves for the rest of their life thinking, you know, what if?
If you're that depressed, reach out to someone. And remember, suicide is a permanent solution to temporary problems.
This idea of, you know, depression is essentially thinking about yourself too much. Last time we spoke on the podcast, you talked about...
I would say, yeah, sorry, that feels to me maybe a little bit too harsh. Because I think people suffer with depression, and it's a disease, and it's incredibly serious. And we think of suicide as being something that stands alone. It's not. It's a symptom of a disease called depression, right? So it's the permanent solution to a temporary problem. You don't want to feel this way anymore, but actually you don't want to feel nothing anymore. You'd like to feel better. So it's that thing of like, I don't think we talk about it enough, but I think that thing of, you know, thinking about yourself all the time, I think it just can lead to a melancholy, a sadness. I think depression is maybe a slightly separate thing. Not to nitpick, but it feels like that's a disease.
Yeah.
And there's also a lot of sadness in the world. And you're lucky if you're sad. Because if you're sad, it's circumstantial and you can do something about it. You know, are you depressed because you have a serotonin imbalance in your head and it's a heritable trait? Or are you sad because your life hasn't worked out the way you want it to work out? Well, if that's the case, the latter, you're in luck because you can change that.
I found that with depression, one of the most important things you could realize is that you're not alone. You're not the first to go through it. You're not gonna be the last to go through it. And oftentimes it happens. You feel like you're alone and you feel like it's only you and you're in your bubble. And I wish I had someone at that time who could just pull me aside and, hey, it's gonna be okay. It's gonna be okay. So I wish I knew that. Just gotta remember. Hold on to that fundamental quality of faith. Have faith. And on the other side of your pain is something good.